Hey! Okay, so this is what I'm starting off with today. I wanted to tell you about my my drink that I have going on right now. So, I try to get collagen in every day, and so this is a way that I do that. At the office, I have it really accessible to have hot water. I also have tea bags. This today is a dandelion root detox tea. So I have that accessible. And then on the top of my fridge, I have my collagen, and I also have some MCT oil, which has a ton of health benefits, but it's a really good fat. Okay, so I'm thinking brain and brain health when I think of MCT oil. So it's very intentional. But I wanted to show you guys this. Do you guys have one of these? Oop, I dripped. Just used it. But it froths my drink up really, really well. It's a frother, but I also use it to mix up like dressings, and I use it to mix up like any protein powders, or sometimes I don't have a shaker, so then I just use this in a cup. I have them at the office, I have them at my house, anywhere where I know that I'm going to be mixing up stuff. So I just want to talk about my tea for a second before we dive into a deeper topic that I hope goes well. I prayed about it because honestly, it's a huge, huge issue in our world right now. And I'm hoping that I can express my feelings towards this and my wisdom, my knowledge, and hopefully you can get something out of it. So last week, I had a guy come in, and he's been bringing his daughter in for probably almost a year, okay? And his wife was coming in first, okay? So he hasn't started care yet. And I haven't been pushing it. We talk about it here and there. He's had some major health issues in his lifetime, like big ones, hospitalizations and whatnot. So in my brain, I know a few things of what's going on with him, but I had mentioned to his wife the importance of care for him. So she mentioned it to him, and then he came in with I'm going to say a chip on his shoulder. He came in and he said, "What do I hear about that I need care, that I need to be or I need a chiropractic adjustment?" And I said, I can start off with the fact of how you walk. So I just tried to go right to gait. And then his comment was, "Well, I'm not going to do any of those goddamn scans," is what he said. So I scan everyone's nervous system. I'm not going to do any of those goddamn scans before you adjust me. And I was like, "Oh, well, that's fine." I said, "You can go to another chiropractor, but I would definitely suggest that you get some care." And it just ended the conversation. So in the past, somebody who would come at me with those kind of comments, the chip on his shoulder, that sort of stuff, I would automatically start thinking that that they don't like me, that I've done something wrong, those sorts of things. And it kind of stops you in your tracks, right? I am by no means great at this, but I do know that it's taken quite a bit of practice to get to the point of me just being able to stand in my truth and just look them in the eye and be empathetic towards what's going on, tell them this is what you have to offer, and if it doesn't work out, awesome, there's somebody else that can help you, I'm sure of it. Let's get you in the hands of somebody that can help you and that you're willing to be helped by, type of thing. So what is that? That is taking offense, right? So if I were to get into his state and feel like that he just punched me in the gut, and I think about these videos where like you're walking along and then, or like the people that are walking and they're texting and they're like this, and then they run into a pole. That's what I think about offenses, where they totally hit you in the gut. They come out of nowhere, and you like it feels like somebody punched you, like you were betrayed, you were stabbed in the back, you were surprised, all these different things. So I definitely know what it feels like, But I also know that when we start seeing these offenses, these issues that come up, as you're being present, you're going to notice them more and more. So as those come up, they are learning points, right? Or they are things that we can lean into and learn more about ourselves with. And our world is very, very offensive. You can't say anything without being lashed out on. So, for example, social media is a huge one. Your opinions and all these different things, people take offense to them. And I need you to know that it's the offensiveness is not on you, it's on them that they become offended. Now, there is something with boundaries. There is something with, so I'm not saying what anyone else is feeling. Like, I don't want you to even go there yet. I want you to look inside yourself and start to see these. So I wrote down a few different ways that you might be offended, or that you might not realize that you're being offended, but you recognize what I'm talking about. So one of them is bursts of anger, or maybe you can't take responsibility for a certain situation. You're keeping score in a relationship, making a list of all those offenses, and can't wait to tell them all the ways that they screwed up. Okay. Triangulating people into your drama. So talking to one person about one thing and the other person about the other, about with your drama type stuff, and then they're pretty much going at each other and just causing this triangle of drama. Going over a situation in your head and thinking about what you could have said. This one is like, I think about at night where I just got done with a conversation and I'm like, oh, I should have said this, and I am really good at getting in this cycle. So if anyone has questions on that one, reach out to me. That's probably the one that I do the most or use the most. Another one is you stop confiding into people or in people. You kind of like stop talking to anyone. You don't somebody has offended you, you shut them out of your life. You try to get people on your side. So this would be like something happens to you, and then you try to tell everybody what happened to you so that they know your side of the story. That way they agree with you and they're on your side versus taking someone else's side. So those are all ways that you might be offended. Now, I'm sure there's many other ways, but if any of those things are happening, I want you to take note of it. Take a mental note and be aware that these things are happening. We're talking about present time consciousness right now, right? That's what this whole thing of 30 days of intentional living is about, is learning what is happening right in front of me right now. What am I feeling right now? Where am I at right now? Am I running circles in my brain? Am I lashing out in anger? Am I blowing up at somebody who did nothing wrong, but I was offended a while back, so now I'm putting anger out on everybody else? Am I shutting down? Am I going and hiding in my house and not talking to anyone because I was just so offended at being out in public with this situation? Like, what is going on? Am I showing up as my truest self when I am offended? Now, here's the kicker, you guys. Once you are offended and you start to shut down your heart and you start to protect it. Now, I'm really good at this. I recently had to do this. I've done this, and now I'm trying to open it back up. Like, I get this, but you start to shut down your heart so that nothing else can be taken from you, right? Or you're trying to unhook these really crappy situations from your heart because, but you can't unless you open it back up. And that means that you have to dive into what's offending it, what's affecting it, what's trying to shut you down. And once you do shut down your heart, and if you get to this level, this is when deception sets in. This is when, I don't know if you guys believe in heaven, hell, whatever, or what, but this is where those crappy things start showing up in your life because you've shut down your heart. okay? So you have to kind of get out of that and get into a different state. We've talked about states a bunch, but we have to get out of that into a good state so that fear isn't in there, doubt isn't in there. Like, this is just where things can kind of slither in and take over because you've shut down your heart. It's easy for deception to come in. Does that make sense? So this is, think about this. This is where our world is at right now. This is an issue, this is a problem, and this is where you guys can take control of your internal self so that you can get past these things and open up your heart again. So what does that take? And it's the word forgiveness, okay? I know that forgiveness is super, super tough because a lot of times the person that we have to forgive is ourselves. I know that there are a lot of situations where there's forgiveness that needs to be done for others, but what really is happening is when you can forgive someone, something, a situation, yourself, the view of yourself in front of the higher power, whatever it is, when you start to really forgive these things, it starts to break apart those things on your heart, okay? And then it helps you start to be more empathetic. Everybody has the chance to be empathetic, but we have to practice it. Now, I do believe in boundaries, you guys. This has nothing to do with letting somebody walk over you. This has nothing to do with boundaries for yourself, for someone else, for a community. This has nothing to do with that. There's a separate thing here. This is looking internally towards you, and if you are able to, you're able to do this forgiveness piece, you will be shocked at how much easier it is to show up as your true self, okay? And to be intentional. Now, I am gonna mess this up, but there is a lady who is a speaker, and she was in the concentration camps. And this was where she was able to get out. She lost her mom, she lost her sister, I believe, in the camps. She had it really wasn't great. And after she got out, after all that was done, she started to go out and speak. And what happened was there was actually one of her Nazis, like one of her, what did they call them? Commanders or whatever. He was in the crowd and he came up to her and said, "Please forgive me," type of thing, right? And she touched him and her body went out into shudders, okay? Like she felt electrifying through her body. Now that is a physical response to an emotional trauma, physical trauma, forgiveness, a closing of the heart. Like that is a physical release of that. And that's what's so cool about the human body. But when she was able to do that, she was able to speak even better, clearer. She was able to connect. She didn't have that blockage on her heart, okay? So I'm challenging you guys to try to do the same. I know this is a longer video today, but forgiveness is something that is practiced. It's not something that can always be done right away, like it's a consistency. It's asking to be forgiven. It's asking to forgive. We've all messed up. We've all got things that might be holding us back. And then by asking for forgiveness, now I'm not saying you have to go in front of your betrayer and tell them, "Hey, I forgive you." Like that is not the whole thing. Now, if you have to do that to get rid of this, then by all means do it. Like it's time. It's time. If it's time for you to forgive, you don't have to forget. But if you can forgive, you'll start to see your body release these things that it's holding on to and keeping you from being your truest self. So let's see, I have a lot of notes on this, so I just want to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, so I have a note here that forgiveness is refusing to let what happened to you stay hooked to your heart. Okay, so some people like to journal. Some people like to meditate. Some people like to pray. Some people like to discuss. I don't care how you do this. It does not matter to me. What matters to me is that you are able to move forward without the heaviness that you had before. And A lot of you guys have been putting down that this 30 days of intention has been really hard, and this is why. This is why. This is one reason why. It's because you're becoming so aware of what you're actually holding on to, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're tasting. Like, these things are triggering your brain of situations that have happened in the past. It's even our subconscious. It's not always what we remember. We just know that it's familiar. These emotions are familiar, right? And they come up at really tough times. You get smoked in the gut and you're like, what the heck just happened? You know, when that is actually something you felt before and you responded to. So really think about that. Where were those things showing up in the past that might need to be let go of, and freeing your heart, letting you move forward, progressing with ease, with grace, with empathy, with light, those sorts of things. So yes, a little deeper today, but critical in your health, critical in your relationships, critical in your life. So good luck, and we will talk again later.